Why hello friends, Jen Foxbot here. Welcome to another exciting edition of Math Mondays, yeah! Okay, so you might have noticed my setup has changed, because I moved. I'm still trying to work out the kinks. I'm actually sitting on my kitchen counter right now, so yes. Thank you for being patient as I figure my whole video setup out. And as my dog eats underneath the camera. Anyway, okay, so this is the second installment of the Algebra series, and in this episode we're going to dive into how do we use these algebra rules to solve different types of equations. Hi Marley. Good times. Okay, so in the last video we focused on variables and order of operations. So in this one, I really want to just focus on covering as many of the algebra rules as we can. That's really what algebra is about, is learning these new mathematical rules, just like how when we get older and we learn all these little tricks of the trade of our various languages that we speak. As we get older and we learn more about math, we're introduced to more rules. Fun! Rules! But they can actually be really fun, especially in math, because they're really sneaky sometimes. So let's start with a simple example. So I'm going to write d over 3 plus d over 2 equals 5 over 3. Okay, so as you probably have had to do if you've taken algebra, our question is, what is d? What does d equal? D is a letter. If you speak English, you'd be like, obviously, or any of the other Germanic languages. But d as a variable means that it is a quantity or a thing that we don't know. And because we have an equation where we only have one unknown, one equation, one unknown, that's cool. We can solve for d. Haha! Let's wield our powers of math. So, the first rule about dealing with fractions is that you cannot combine fractions that have different denominators. So that means that we have to find a clever solution for combining the two fractions. An easy way to do that is to just multiply each of the fractions by the denominator of the other one. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to multiply d over 3 by 2 over 2. And I'm going to multiply 3 over 3 to d over 2. And now you're probably like, hold on, what is going on? You can't just do that, but wait. 2 over 2, 2 divided by 2 is just 1, and 3 over 3 is just 1. So in reality, our equation actually is the same exact thing. We haven't changed it. We've just rewritten it. And that, my friends, is the secret of algebra. It's simplifying equations to make it look quote-unquote prettier so that our eyes and hands can more easily solve these problems, and rewriting equations in an equivalent way or in an equal way so that we can do little tricks like this. And so what we get when we multiply the top by 2, we get 2d. And when we multiply the bottom by 2, we get 6. And we do the same thing over here. So we get 3d over 6 equals 5 over 3. All right. Try not to slide off the counter. Okay. So now you'll notice we have the same common denominator. Woohoo! And that means that we can combine our fractions. So we get 2d plus 3d over 6. Whoa, that's not a 6. Divided by 6 equals 5 over 3. Huzzah! Okay, we're getting there. And you might be able to guess where I'm going to go now. I'm running out of space. So we will erase all of this work, and we're going to go back up here. So then we get 5d over 6 equals 5 over 3. Huzzah! We can almost solve it now! Okay, so what we can do now, because we are dealing with multiplication and division, is we can be a little more loose with the terms, as long as we keep the equation the same. And what I mean by that is I actually can divide both sides by 5, because I have this 5d right here, and that's an extra term next to d that's kind of hiding d's true form, if you want to use that phrase, which I do. So we're going to divide both sides by 5, which gets rid of this 5. So we're going to go like that, divided by 5, and like that, divided by 5. And lo and behold, it's almost like I picked this equation on purpose. Gets rid of that 5. So now we have d over 6 equals 1 over 3. This seems doable. So you multiply both sides by 6. Which gets rid of this 6 over here. And then you just get d equals 6 over 3, which is just 2. Boom! What's up? We just solved our first algebra equation. Yeah! All right, so everything that we did here, we did not change the meaning of our equation. We simply changed the form. If you want to relate it to English, it's basically like when you write a sentence and you want to convey a certain idea, but there are many different ways to convey that idea, right? Like if I want to say my dog's bark is loud, I could say, I don't know, my dog is super loud, and you would understand that I mean his bark is loud. I could say my dog's bark is deafening. There are many different ways to convey the same idea. And just like that in English, we can do that in math as long as we follow the rules. And the rules basically say you cannot change the meaning of the equation. So you just have to understand how to manipulate the numbers and the variables in a way that keeps the meaning of the equation the same. Cool. All right, so that's part 1. In the second part, we're going to use what we found in this first equation to solve a much more complicated equation. But that's cool, we got this, no big deal. And what I'm going to do in this much longer equation is basically touch on a lot of the fundamental algebra rules that we learn throughout the course of algebra. And since I don't want to make, 100 videos on each specific topic in algebra, unless y'all want me to, let me know. But I want to kind of pack in some of the most common rules that we learned from algebra. All right, cool. So here we go.